Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and honestly, I have another video where it's kind of come from stream, and I get asked this question a lot, not only in my guild and comment sections, the Discord, about how do I stay focused during larger farms like Galactic Legends, how do I get through them so quickly, what are the things I'm doing along the way to ensure that my account is not only getting to that Galactic Legend quickly, but efficiently, right? Because speed and efficiency are two different things, right? Speed is just you did it quickly. Efficiently is did you use the smallest amount of resources possible, right? And, have enough that you can still do some things. So let's get into our video. Let's talk about this. But before I do that, I want to give a huge shout out to my channel members. Thank you guys so much again for all your continued support of this channel. If you guys want to join the channel memberships, link in the description down below. Otherwise, smash that subscribe button. That is free, right? That costs nothing, and it helps this channel so much. Thank you guys again. I really appreciate everything. Let's get into our video. So, how do I stay focused during Galactic Legend farms, right? The first thing is your farming goal. You got to identify that. I have Rey because I don't have her yet, right? I'm not committed to Rey yet, right? And this is something that is very important here, is this don't overcommit. This is like the first thing. So if I went to the journey guide real quick, just to show you guys what I'm talking about here, why I say you don't overcommit. Obviously, right, the elephant in the room being that GL Space Buns, we've gotten 3 of her 5 prereqs for what the requirements will be. So far, they don't look too bad, right? 2 Relic 3s, I have the Relic 5, and then 2 of the newer characters at Relic 7. It's not a big deal. So I'm kind of waiting around to see what the rest of the requirements are, because they very realistically could be stuff that's going to be like, you know what? I cannot afford to do those Relic levels, that it's a lot of Relic 9s, a lot of Relic 8s, or it's all Relic 7s, like it's going to depend on what her requirements are. And that's why I'm not committing to Rey yet. Because I'm in a position where I could go either way, right? That depending on what her recs are, I could go either way and I'd be in good shape. So you don't overcommit. And I've talked about this when you kind of cross that threshold of committing versus non-committing. And if I was to do that, like you go in the journey guide here, all of the gear that's on Resistance characters right now is there from past farms, right? Jedi Training Rey's a Jedi Master Luke requirement. And then the rest of these things, like the BB-8, Poe, Finn, all of this gear is actually from when I played before, like quitting back in like 2018. All of that gear was on those characters before 2018. Because Resistance back then, that was the faction, and they were actually pretty good. So, yeah. These characters, they're here. This is what I had done with them. This was my goal. So, we got them there. So, don't overcommit, right? Wait to see what, if you're in between Galactic Legend farms, you're not sure. Wait and see what's going to happen. If you're like, oh, should I go for Leia? Should I go for Jabba? Wait to see what the rest of the requirements are and which one is going to suit you better. So, there's that aspect, right? So, obviously, our king is here, guys, just as a reminder that he is sitting on his lofty Relic 8 throne. We love our King Wampa around here. This man has done wonders for us in Grand Arena, and as always, he has a very special place in my heart. But you guys are going to see this, right? So the first huge tip after don't overcommit, all gear and credits needs to go towards that Galactic Legend. Now, to quote Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec, I'm sure what you just heard was a lot of your gear and credits needs to go towards that farm. What I said was, all of your gear and credits needs to go into this farm. All. Do you understand that difference? Because that is a huge difference between a lot and all. When you're farming something like a Galactic Legend, a major ship, you're doing something, you cannot afford to be putting credits and gear into anything else, because you're just setting yourself back. And you might not think in the time that, oh, well, I'm not setting myself back. Like if you looked at the Rey thing, I can't really relic anybody. So you guys would be like, oh, Phil, you could be relicking some characters while you're trying to get the Rey recs up to the point where you could relic them. No. I'm going to save those relic materials, and then maybe I get 3 Rey characters to relics. I can bump them up right away. I don't have to sit around and wait to farm that signal data. So, and again, that's a bigger example, because as you guys can see, relics is the next thing, right? Relics fits the same thing. Don't go and throw that stuff on other characters. People do this all the time, and it drives me crazy. Like, just save it and know that it's all going to come back and help you at some point. That when you're leveling a Galactic Legend, I feel like what a lot of players kind of go through in their heads is that, okay, I'm going to get the gear. then I'm going to get the relics. Like, do them both at the same time. Do them both at the same time. And even if maybe you're not gearing somebody right then because, you don't have the shards on them, so you're going to throw relics on other characters. Like, you might not be doing all aspects of that farm at once, but you're making progress towards all aspects at once. And I'm not trying to say this to be a jerk, right? I'm just trying to say this as nicely as I can say it. It takes self-control. You've got to have self-control that you can see, here, you know what? Here's a great example. You got to have self-control that this little button right here that says I can relegate my Jedi Master Luke here, right? You've got to have the self-control to say, I'm not doing that because I'm saving my stuff for something that's coming down the pike, right? So just please, all of your gear, all of your credits, all of your relics need to go into that farm, even if at the moment you're not able to actually make any progress towards them. Bank it and save it for the next one, right? Pay it forward, right? Ship materials. This is one a lot of players, I think, mess up. Especially for like your Rey and Kylo, where you're building an entire fleet. All of your ship resources and materials should be going into that farm. Because during that Galactic Legend, you shouldn't be trying to get Profundity or Executor, right? You should just be focusing on getting Rey. So you may as well throw those ship materials into this Resistance fleet. Even if you're like, oh, Phil, that fleet isn't that good. By the time most players farm Rey, she's going to be a fantastic backup fleet. Or if you're farming her earlier, you're going to have this Relic Resistance fleet. That's going to be one of your better fleets. So you may as well have all of those ship materials and everything invested into this farm. And that will boost your account so much. A Relic Resistance fleet is going to be better than like a Gear 8 Rebel fleet. I'm sorry, it's the case. Like they'll hit hard enough that it won't matter. So all of your ship materials, again, not a lot, all of them go into this. Even like I have Rose Tico here because of the Star Fortress. Go farm this ship while you're at it. Like, make sure you're taking all of the steps along the way to build up the best Galactic Legend that you can, right? To invest in this faction and say, you know what? This is what we're going to be doing, and this is why. So, again, I'm not trying to be all high and mighty on you guys that I know the best stuff. Like, I don't know everything, but you want to know how I get these Galactic Legends as quickly as I do, how I get through these things. It's because I stay focused and I'm putting all of my resources here, right? And then Zetas and Omicrons. This one is one that drives me. You want to drive me up a wall? Unlock a Galactic Legend. Wombat, I'm talking to you right now. And have enough for like one Zeta. By the time you unlock a GL, you should have all 6 of their Zetas banked. If you're going for a Galactic Legend, put it in your brain that you need to have 6 Zetas saved for that Galactic Legend. If you're not able to save 6 Zetas over the course of that Galactic Legend farm, you spent Zetas that you shouldn't have spent. Because Galactic Legends are 1,000 times better than any other character in the game. Even Sith Eternal is still better than every other non-Galactic Legend character in the game. So please, 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 save your Zetas and save your Amis and invest them in the stuff that's going to make this team better. Because a lot of players, they'll be like, oh, I'm going to, put my Zetas over here, and then you get behind, right? You're investing in relic characters. Put the Zetas on them. I'm not saying you need to give, like, Rose Tico a Zeta, right? I'm not saying you need to give her the Omicron. But, like, I've got Zori and Ben down here, and a lot of people are like, well, they're not required for Rey. No, they're not. We will get to why they're here, right? I will get to why they're here. But, like, my BB-8 is missing a Zeta. I'm looking at, like, the Finn Zeta, right? The Resistance heroes. There's a couple of Zetas that I really need to get for this Resistance faction in order to make them what they are. And I'm willing to invest in them because I'm going to have relic characters, right? And then finally, you cannot forget mods. Like, this is something that when I am farming for a GL, I'm going for anything major. What I do is I'll come over here to my mods. Right, and I have a loadout. Like, look, I've got one created for L3 already. These are the mods I would throw on L3 if I unlocked her today. Obviously, a lot of slicing to do on them. But, that concept's still the same. But I go through, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this, that I will go through those mods, and I will build a set for Rey. I will build a set for Zori and for the Resistance heroes. I will build these sets for them so that by the time that I'm, investing in them, I'm putting stuff in, I've got mods ready to go. That is something that so many players, I think, fail at, is you get this Galactic Legend and you have no idea what mods to put on them. You have no, you're not going to have the Zetas. You're not going to have like any of the team built, right? And then you're stuck, right? You're stuck and you're like, oh, I've got to spend the next, 3 weeks fixing mods on Rey. Instead of, okay, you know what? This character can lose this mod. This character can lose this mod. And I'll kind of come back around and do those and one-off them, right? Kind of do those one-offs. It's a lot smarter to do it that way than it is to try and, work on Rey's mods after you've already got her. By the time you unlock her, those mods should be sliced, ready to go, and prime, because you're unlocking a fantastic character. You should not be waiting around for good mods on them. And that kind of brings me to this point that, on day one of unlock, I'll say this, I'll give you a pass for your first Galactic Legend, right? That your first Galactic Legend, you can unlock them and they don't need to be Relic 7, Zetas, and modded. But every GL after that, your goal should be Relic 7, all Zetas, and modded. It's not that difficult to do that. It's just about having self-control, and it's about following these things that you're going to save all your gear in credits, right? Like maybe you're farming tickets for your GL and you're like, oh man, I'm kind of getting some Chirotechs. Save them, save them, save them. Oh man, you know what? I could probably relic a bunch of characters. Save it. Save that stuff, right? Don't go and spend it on other people because you don't have somebody to put it on right then. You've got to take your time with this, because otherwise you'll get there and you're going to be like, oh, I have a Gear 8 Rey and she's not getting holds. Well, no, duh, she's not getting holds. She's Gear 8. Like, patience, right? As, Yoda and Obi-Wan plead with Luke, it's what I'm pleading with you. Be patient, right? You've got to have all of these things ready to go because you're making this huge investment, right? What would be a hilarious example of this, right? Is like you're going to buy a brand new house, right? And then you're going to put, appliances from the 1920s in it. Like, really? No. You're going to put the brand new stuff in there, right? You want the best things possible. You bought this beautiful house, but you don't have running water, right? Like, that's what it's like when you don't have all the Zetas and, mods and stuff like that for your Galactic Legend. Like, you're missing all the important parts of them. So, yeah, guys, you've got to do this. And then finally, build the optimal team. And this is coming up to the Zeta and the Zori and Ben situation here. So Ben Solo and Rey are obviously, a dyad in the Force, thanks to those wonderful movies that can just don't exist as far as I'm concerned. But if you're, you think if you're in a position where you can get Ben Solo and you can gear him before you get Rey, I'd 1000% recommend it. Obviously, this guy, I have him at Relic 7 because of operations for territory battles. It had nothing to do with me going for Rey. I did that a while ago. But someone like Zori's lifting that entire Resistance, sub-team to a brand new level. So she's 1000% worth unlocking during this Rey farm and treating her as part of it. If you treat her as part of this farm, you're going to be so much better off. You're going to have so much of a better time than if you just pretend that she doesn't exist. Because then you're going to have this really solid Resistance team with Zori. You'll have a team that you'll be able to use with Rey. You'll have your Ben Solo. You're going to have all these really great pieces that day one unlock, even without Ultimate, you'll have this solid Rey team. And then, building this optimal team, right? So I've got for other GLs here as examples, Commander Tano and Ahsoka Tano. You unlock Jedi Master Kenobi, you better have Commander Tano. You better have Ahsoka. I'm not saying they need to be Relic, 8 right away, right? I'm not saying they need to be Relic 7 right away, but make sure you're investing in them. Treat them with some respect. Like, they're two characters that I would say you get to Relics before you worry about doing somebody like Ayla Secura, Commander Cody, and Clone Sergeant. Like, they're going to benefit you more at Relics than trying to rush to Kenobi and then work on them. Because here's what's going to happen. You'll get your Kenobi, and then you're not going to have Commander Tano with anything on her. And you're going to try and beat a General Skywalker team and fail. Or you're going to try and beat a Padme team and fail, right? Because that's what happens. Jedi Knight Revan with Jedi Master Luke is another example that I think if you're going for your Jedi Master Luke, you should have a Jedi Knight Revan. Sounds crazy. You're like, oh, but I want to use Jedi Knight Revan elsewhere. Yes, but Jedi Knight Revan with Jedi Master Luke is just such a great combination. He's a fantastic character, and especially if you're planning to place Jedi Master Luke on defense, Revan is a key part of that. Because if your team brings somebody that can't ignore taunt, Jedi Knight Revan's going to save Jedi Master Luke the first time he goes to die. So, yeah, really, really important there. And then finally, Maul and Royal Guard for the Lord Vader farm. I mean, that should be a no-brainer. Now, I understand that there's conquest characters here, but you kind of get the gist that I'm probably not, if you follow the farming guide, you know me, I'm not recommending you build Lord Vader and Kenobi before, you're able to do Proving Grounds. That's just not in the cards. I don't think that's smart. So you want to build those characters as you're building up those Galactic Legend, requirements, and treat them as if they are a requirement. Because when you unlock that GL, you want them to be good day one. And if you don't have the optimal team with them, you're going to be so disappointed. And I can tell you that disappointment is real, because that's the same way I felt about Sith Eternal. So hopefully this video helps you guys understand how I get through these farms so quickly, is that I'm not taking these little breaks and equipping things over here, equipping things over there. And that on day one, I've saved enough of my gear, enough of my relics, Zetas, everything, that I can completely finish that Galactic Legend. Right? I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say that, my goal day one is always to have a Relic 7 GL. And a lot of times too, and I'll say this, some people will be like, oh, what do you mean? Like, I've done a Relic 7 GL and then in the same day, relic other characters because I've just saved that gear. Because I want to make sure that I have everything I need for that GL. I have all the stuff I need, all the stuff I want, and then maybe I'll go and do another character. Right? I've done that before. And is that maybe the smartest thing to do? Oh, well, you could have done that character earlier. Yes. But maybe I did, and they needed something that my Galactic Legend needed. So, yeah, guys, hopefully this helps you, and hopefully it gives you another, a little bit more insight into the madness that is, Fat Phil's farming. I mean, I don't want to say that I am the end-all, be-all for advice on farming. In fact, I would say that there's plenty of people who have more knowledge than me. But I get asked a lot how I do these things, and this is how I do it. It's about staying focused, having blinders on, and getting your stuff done. So, like and subscribe, comment down below. Be sure to let me know what your thoughts are on this video. As always, I love all of you guys. May the Force be with you. I'm going to see you in the next video. Cheers.